Hey everyone, I'm Alex.
And I'm Courtney, and this is Nerds at Odds.
Nerds at Odds is your weekly podcast about all things in nerd culture and beyond. And if you want to get the show 4 days early, ad-free, and with the ability to submit your questions, comments, and concerns, head on over to patreon.com/nerds at odds.
And you can check us out on Instagram and Twitter at Nerds at Odds.
And if you can also leave a review of the podcast on whatever app you're listening to us on, that would help us out a lot.
And we do have a YouTube channel where you can look at all of our old episodes of the podcast, as well as unboxing videos, maybe gaming videos, and we do have a Twitch channel as well.
Yeah, so check those out. Those are both at Nerds at Odds. And now let's get on to what we've been up to. Courtney, what have you been doing recently?
I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla a little bit more.
A little bit more? Your last save file said 15 hours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't really had a chance to play that much this week. I just started playing really this day. Today, the day we're recording, is gonna be my Valhalla day. And I've been doing some reading, playing some app games on my phone.
But let's talk about Valhalla a little bit. For those who maybe haven't listened to our next gen console episode yet, which you guys should check out. What have you thought about Valhalla?
I really enjoy it. I like the story is very good. I like Vikings. The Viking mythos is fun. And there's definitely a lot of stuff to do. And sometimes it can be a little bit annoying. Like there's a tiny little hole that you have to shoot an arrow through.
To like break
to unlock a door.
Yeah, so there's like treasure hidden in people's houses, and you have to figure out how to unlock the houses. And
to be fair, I didn't need it, but I wanted it.
The house unlocking puzzle seemed a bit annoying to me.
Yeah, well, that one was just like leather and stone supplies, that sort of thing. Not like the wealth that you need to collect on the map. You know, like the big wealth.
Yeah,
it was like a tiny wealth.
The most interesting aspect of the game for me is the city building aspect. Like you have your little Viking village that you're upgrading as the story progresses.
Yes.
I think that's the thing that interests me the most, because I like the kind of micromanaging type stuff. So you get the resources, you build the different buildings in your town, you level up your town. I like that aspect.
Yeah, I can't remember what my town is. It's not, I think it's a settlement now. It was an encampment when you first start, and then you had to update your village enough times, and then it becomes a settlement, and then it'll probably become a village, and then so on and so forth. I just have it as a settlement right now, but I'm going to work on some raiding. Right now I'm doing a quest thing, which is unlike me.
It's a side quest though, right? Because you haven't... Because, like, you've beat the prologue where you go to England.
Yes.
And you've picked up your first quest to, like, go make an ally in England. But you haven't started that yet.
No. Well, I'm going to go get someone on my side. Sort of.
Yeah.
He's not like... It's not like big main quest.
Yeah, he's not like a mayor of a town or something that I'm assuming all the main quests.
No.
So
I think he's got a white bear with him.
Cool.
I think that's part of the quest. It's like, oh, you gotta find this guy. He's got a white bear.
Well, in Odyssey, if I recall, you played about 180 hours. I'm not sure how much of that is DLC stuff, though you didn't complete the Atlantis DLC.
I did not complete
But I'm assuming like 150, 160 of those were just base game. And at this pace, do you think you're going to be able to put that many hours into Valhalla?
Oh, for sure.
For sure?
More than, probably. I'm already at like 17 hours or something.
Yeah. And I enjoy games that give you a lot of content for your money. Do you feel like the content you're completing in Valhalla is more meaningful than the content you're completing in Odyssey? Because some games will give you a bunch of like bloat that's not really fun to do, but it's just there for content. But do you think Valhalla is more enjoyable?
I think everything's fun to do. Odyssey, everything was fun to do, in my opinion. The combat I don't like as much, but that's fine. You know, I'm getting better at the parrying and stuff. I just have to remember to do it, because I'm just so used to just hitting the trigger.
So the two main things that we can talk about without doing any spoilers, what's going on, and kind of give people an idea if they want to play this game, if they liked Odyssey, or if they want to play it if they didn't like Odyssey, or whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
The two main differences, I think, besides the setting and all that, which is obvious, are the combat, which you kind of brought up, where Odyssey is more kind of fast-paced, I guess, and Valhalla seems more almost Dark Souls-light, where you block, or you step to the side, stab, wait for him to attack kind of deal. Especially if you're on a higher difficulty.
Well, there is parrying, and when you parry, you can stun them. And if you stun them, you can do a stun attack, which does a lot of damage. But you can also, like, at some point, if you knock them down on the ground, you can stomp on them, which is always fun. And I'm unlocking new abilities and new moves with the skill tree.
Yeah.
You know? So that's fun.
What do you think about the skill tree? Because Valhalla's skill tree is like a literal tree almost. It looks like tons of, like, the different skills are little leaves on this big tree.
Maybe it's supposed to be like Yggdrasil.
Perhaps. I mean,
the world tree.
Is it complicated? Do you find yourself overwhelmed by this upgrade tree?
Not really. I don't really look at a lot. I just look at the big main ones.
Yeah, so like if you...
There's like a branch that'll go off into like this thing of clouds, and I'm like, oh, I want to see what's over there. So I click on the one that like leads to over where the clouds are, and then it'll open it up, and it'll be like, oh, you could use the predator bow, and I'm like, I don't care about the predator bow, and then I go in different directions.
So like each branch has a main skill, like, oh, you can guide your arrows or something like that, and then there's tons of little.
Well, there's like the little ones are like health.
Yeah, like +2 health or
stamina, maybe not stamina.
So you're not really paying attention to those tiny ones. You're just trying to make your way to these bigger abilities.
Yeah, and you can always like redo it.
Yeah, you can reset the whole tree as many times as you want for free.
You can even reset the little tiny like individual ones.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't want this. I'll go back a couple spaces and I'll go this way.
Yeah, so there's some versatility there. And secondly, I think maybe the biggest change from Odyssey is the way you explore the world. Side activities that are not main quests are either wealth, mysteries,
artifacts.
Yeah, so you got like yellow dots, blue dots, white dots, and you don't really know what they are. They could be chests. They could be... So
the wealth could be like ingots of like...
Yeah, upgrade materials, armor, weapons, things like that.
Yeah.
The mysteries could be side quests.
Not really side quests. They're more like
world events.
Like errands.
Yeah, errands.
They're kind of world events, but they're more like errands.
I would say.
But there's also like there's these errands that you'll have to do, which are the most common ones. Are the errands. Then there's like this glitch in the Animus thing where you're seeing. I think maybe it's the Isu and like the fall of their civilization. Yeah. So you see that, and you have to you become the person out of the Animus, and you have to go like climb on this weird glitchy thing.
Yeah.
I think that's about it that I've seen.
Yeah. And I think the idea here behind this mechanic is that you're going to go to a dot not knowing what you're going to do, so there's a little more surprise about what's going on.
Also with the mysteries, there could be like a big dude that you have to fight, or like a legendary animal, something along those lines. And then the artifacts are like, like treasure map or something.
Yeah. So do you find this system better than Odyssey, kind of not knowing what you're stumbling across, just knowing something's over there?
It's fine. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. You walk up to it and you're like, oh, what's this new symbol? It's interesting though, because I don't really care about having a challenge, so I pick the easiest difficulty. Usually with the easiest difficulty, it'll let you know what you're going into beforehand, but this one doesn't, and I think that's nice.
Yeah. One of the coolest things about Valhalla for me was when you start a new game, there's like several different things you can set difficulties for.
Yeah.
So you have like 4 or 5 from like easy to super hard, a range of difficulties.
Yeah.
And then you could be like, do you want your combat to be easy, medium, hard, do you want your exploration to be easy, medium, hard, and do you want your stealth? And you can choose hard for one, easy for the other two, easy for all three, hard for all three, whatever you want. So I like that customization in difficulty.
I chose easy for everything.
Yeah, I would too. I'm all about the story and exploring these worlds, so I don't really want much of a challenge in any of those things.
Yeah, and like honestly, the game is so beautiful. I just like looking around. Every time I see the little glitchy thing though, I kind of forget that it's there because I've only encountered it twice. And you see something glitching and you're like, "Oh no, what's wrong with the game?
Like, yeah.
What's wrong with and you go over there and it's like that whole area is glitching and you see like this weird like hole.
Yeah.
And it's like, "Oh, I guess I'll see what this is."
Well, two things. You mentioned it's beautiful. It is very pretty to look at because you played on the PS4 to begin with, and then you've played on PS5 now.
Mm-hmm.
PS5 with the HDR and the 4K and the 60 frames per second. It is beautiful to look at this game. To the glitchiness, I think this game has a lot of bugs.
It has some bugs. It's never crashed on me though.
Yeah, no game breaking stuff.
And now with the PlayStation 5 versus the PlayStation 4, there's definitely less loading time, which is good and bad because I like reading the little tips and tidbits on the loading screen, and I can't do that as well.
It probably took what would have been minutes worth of loading, I think, on PS4 down to like 10 seconds.
But that's when you can take a little drink, you eat a little snack, and you're good.
I think going forward with this generation of consoles, especially with PS5, with the controller and all that, it's more about immersing you more in the world. And I guess since you don't have a time to take a break from the game, you're more immersed, right? So last question about this before we move on. You loved Odyssey, right?
Yes.
As someone who loved Odyssey, would you recommend this game to someone who loved Odyssey?
I think so. It's different. It's different because like I tried to play Origins a little bit after Odyssey, and I couldn't. Maybe it's like a little bit like the combat, a little bit of the ways. There's not as many like customization options in Origins as there is in Odyssey. But Valhalla has all of those customization options. And the combat is different, but that's fine. The main thing for me is that like I know Greek mythology a lot, and that's why I really liked Odyssey and going around that area. And I know Norse mythology a little bit, and like Egyptian mythology I know like the teeniest amount. So I think going from Odyssey to Valhalla is fine. You know, it's great. I'm pretty sure Valhalla takes place after Odyssey.
I think it takes place 1,000 years after Odyssey.
Yeah.
So
that's fine. You know, I'm glad they weren't like still trying to go back. I can just imagine them trying to do like what Far Cry did with Far Cry Primal.
Yeah.
It's like Assassin's Creed Primal. It's like nobody cares.
Yeah, I don't know how far back you can go than ancient Greece.
Yeah.
So, and would you recommend it to someone who doesn't like Odyssey?
I mean, you know, just try it out. If you have a friend that hasn't, maybe watch them play. Watch people on YouTube play. You know, I think Jack Patillo, he's doing a playthrough where he live streams it and then puts it up on his channel. So check it out. You know, see if you like how the gameplay looks, how the game looks.
Yeah.
And decide for yourself.
Okay, and now on to what I've been doing. I've been playing a lot of Destiny 2 Beyond Light, which is the new expansion that just came out. I really enjoy it. I think it might be the best story content Destiny's ever had. You can actually understand what's going on in the story without having to read lore posts on Bungie's website. So that's cool. The villain has understandable reason for what they're doing. You know, she wants to like save her race of people, but she's like going about it the wrong way. You can understand where she's coming from the first time that's ever happened, I think, in Destiny. They have a new super class. I think if you've played Destiny and you liked it and you haven't played it recently, you should jump back in on this. And if you're interested in it and haven't tried it, I think now's the best time ever to jump into the game. And it's fun to play. So that's my spill on that. I've also been playing.
I feel like the people who would jump into Destiny, it's like I feel like they're like there's too much that I've missed out on to just jump into Destiny 2 if they've never picked up a Destiny game before.
Well, I think what Bungie does well is that you can play Destiny for free. It's a free-to-play game now. And
interesting.
Yeah, if you've never played it, you can download the free-to-play version, and it's called Destiny 2 New Light. And you start your story, and they have like a new main campaign that fast-tracks you to where the newest DLC starts. So you know all the big moments that matter. You get caught up pretty quickly. I think you probably spend 6-8 hours getting caught up if you never play the game.
That's interesting. Because I feel like that was what would hold me back from starting a game like that is like, well, there's just too much at this point. I'm so far behind. There's no point.
Yeah, I feel like I don't play a lot of these types of games like hardcore, so I'm not knowledgeable enough about them. But I feel like World of Warcraft is the only other one I've played a lot of. And I feel like World of Warcraft, if you start a new character, it's like nothing that you haven't played matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
You start, and the only thing that matters is what's new. So you don't really, it doesn't care what happened before, so you don't, experience what the other people have experienced, really, right?
Sure.
I feel like Destiny does a better job of giving you, like, the main points and getting you up, so you kind of understand what's going on around you more. So, if you haven't checked it out, it's free to play, you should check that out. And I've been playing some Bloodborne as well. I've been streaming it a little. I'm on Bloodstarved Beast, which is the third boss. I lost to it like 4 times. I used up all my resources. So what I'm working on right now is grinding souls to go back and buy all my resources again so I can go back to the boss and try to beat it.
I think you should watch Viva La Dirt League's Dark Souls
yeah.
videos. They are hilarious.
Yeah,
they just had one where it was like, oh, if you're a new player to Bloodborne or Dark Souls, and you're like cocky about it, you're like, oh, I don't need these tutorials. So you go up to your first enemy and just get slaughtered.
Yeah, I feel like I'm playing Bloodborne now because it's in the PS Plus collection, which you get for free if you buy a PS5 and you have PS Plus, which you probably do at this point. So it was available to me. And secondly, because Demon's Souls just came out, the remake of Demon's Souls, and it's a PS5 exclusive. And I'm like, man, that looks very interesting, I like those games, like the aesthetic of them. I'm just not good at them. So I was like, I don't want to play Demon's Souls because I don't want to spend $80 to buy it. So I'll just play Bloodborne because it's available to me.
My sister's pretty good at those games.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
I don't have the patience, I feel like, to beat them. But I like the, gothic aesthetic of them. The only thing I have to say about Bloodborne is it's still gorgeous, 5-7 years later, however old it is. But there's no PS5 version for it, so it's still running like it did on PS4. I wish they would update it for that, but I don't think they're going to.
No, probably not.
But it's available if you have the PlayStation Plus collection. So that's what I've been doing. We haven't been doing much outside of watching movies in preparation for this episode and the episodes coming, because we're doing...
And of course, TV shows. Every once in a while, we watch some Forged in Fire, Masked Singer, which if you haven't watched Forged in Fire, it is addictive.
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu. It's addictive.
Yeah. But we have... This episode is the Disney Animated Part 1, up to the Renaissance. Next episode is Disney Animated Part 2, Renaissance to today. Then the next 2 episodes... No, there's 1 episode between these and the Christmas episodes, which we haven't thought about what we're going to do yet. But we are preparing for the Christmas episodes as well. That's what we've been doing together.
We've been watching a lot of movies.
Yeah. Lastly, the last thing we've watched together that's newsworthy is Mandalorian Season 2. We didn't give our thoughts on Episode 3 when it came out because we didn't watch it when we recorded that episode. We've watched it since then.
Yes.
So we've watched Episode 3 and 4 now. And let's give our non-spoiler review of these episodes because we're going to do an entire episode on Season 2 when it ends. So Episode 3.
Kind of boring.
Kind of boring?
Kind of boring.
I thought it was entertaining, but I thought it was entertaining because of the cameos that are there. It was exciting to see those people that I've seen in other things show up finally.
It's just like, nothing really happens.
I think that is the through line for these first 4 episodes. Nothing. The end of episode 4, it is finally being like, oh, there's a story. Remember the story that happened last season? We're picking back up with it now.
Well, I feel like so like episode 3, some like stuff happens and they're like, we can't do this. We gotta go to someplace else. And then they're like, oh, all right, episode 4.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, we're on our way to get to see this person at the end of episode 3.
Yeah.
And then episode 4 begins, and they're like, oh, shit, we can't make it there. Gotta land somewhere. And then episode 4 is like some side story. And then at the episode 4, you get like a little couple minutes of something that is actually story related.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe 5, I think there's 8 episodes again. So 5, 6, 7, and 8. Maybe the back half of season 2 is going to matter. But I don't know if you skip from season 1 and just skip to season 2, episode 4. I don't think you've missed anything, honestly.
I feel like they were just like, let's just throw in some cameos. You know? It's like, you know what we need? Cameos. You remember season 1? Cameos. Which is fine. I enjoy seeing characters re-brought up. But there was some stuff that I was like, this is going to happen. And then it immediately happened. And you started laughing.
I think the biggest problem for me right now is that they've announced that certain people are going to be in this season. Certain people that I care about much more than anyone else in this show.
Yeah, you're like, just let me see this person. Just let me see this person. I'm ready to see this person. And I'm like, they're not going to show it to you until like the end of season 2.
Yeah, and it's going to be upsetting. That's what I want to see. Though I guess that's just my expectations because it's the Mandalorian show and you should care about him and his characters.
I feel like the Mandalorian is just like, we got Baby Yoda, hijinks ensue. That's it.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, there was a decent amount of that in episode 4. So probably in about a month or so, when this show wraps up season 2, we'll give you our season breakdown episode.
I don't. Spoiler free, probably.
We'll see. If you like listening to podcasts about things in nerd culture, you might enjoy listening to audiobooks that can transport you away on grand adventures to exciting worlds, all while you go about your daily tasks like driving, cooking, and cleaning. Audible is the perfect place for you to find the epic tales, and right now, all listeners can get a 30-day free trial by going to audibletrial.com/nerdsatodds. I'm currently listening to Dune by Frank Herbert in preparation for the movie that comes out later this year, and it has really helped me fight the boredom induced by this pandemic. Audible has thousands of audiobooks available, and the best part is that with your free 30-day trial, you can download and listen to them all for free. So go to audible.com/nerdsatodds to get listening today. So into the topic of today's show, which is Disney Animated Movie Review Part 1.
We're going to do the Golden Age through the Bronze Age. Now I'm going to go through all these movies. Alex likes to rate things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of that. I just, I like it or I don't.
Mm-hmm.
He has written on the Nerds at Odds scale that is not patented.
The patented Nerds at Odds rating scale.
Not patented. And he put what he ranks them
out of this section. So there's 19 total films. So they're going to be rated 1 as the best, 19 as the worst, and then I'll give you our patented Nerds at Odds rating scale rating.
Not patented.
And before we hop into these, you want to explain to the listeners how we chose the movies we chose.
So we decided to do the movies that were specifically done by the studio Disney Animated
Studios.
And we decided not to do the Winnie the Pooh ones because I think it was a TV show first before it was movie.
Perhaps. And they're also very child.
They're
oriented.
Well, I mean, these are Disney movies. They're all child oriented. But we just didn't think we would enjoy them as much, I think.
Perhaps. And we also they had to be theatrically released.
Yes.
No sequels. They couldn't be solely musicals, so like Fantasia and stuff don't count.
Yes.
And I think that was our categories. No Winnie the Pooh, no sequels, theatrically released. Disney Animated Studios had to make them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So there were some movies that I remembered fondly, but they weren't technically made by Disney Animated Studios. And some stuff that Disney has acquired recently has added new movies to their repertoire, technically, but those don't count.
Yes. So let's get on into it. So the Golden Age.
Okay, Golden Age. We'll start with Snow White in 1937.
Snow White, I'm going to give a boing to.
Mm-hmm.
And it is 16th place out of 19 on this list. Snow White, the only thing that saves it from being bad, in my opinion, is its historical context as the first animated film ever.
Animated feature-length film.
Yeah. And it's technically impressive if you think back to this being released, 83 years ago?
Yes.
So that gives it a little something. But nothing happens in this movie. And I think that's something that is a through line through a bunch of these older Disney films, is that it's just a series of events that happen to these characters without much in the way of a through line.
Well, so the Golden Age is sort of like things happen and people don't really do anything.
Yeah.
Silver Age is a little bit better. Like, you get character development for people, stuff like that. Bronze Age, Disney tried their hardest.
So we'll see when we get there how I feel about those. But yeah, Snow White, historically significant, a boring film. And I think the key here, with any of these movies that we say don't have much in the way of a through line, is try to explain the story of Snow White and what actually happens. You know?
Yeah.
And then explain how that happens for 90 minutes.
Well, I don't know. I like Snow White. I do. I feel bad.
For the actress?
For the actress.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that later. I think that should be
an interesting fact.
Yeah.
Okay.
Considering your interesting facts that you have listed don't have anything to do with the movies that we talked about.
Yeah. Next film.
We've got Pinocchio from 1940.
I think Pinocchio is mediocre. A little below average on the Nose at Odds rating scale. It goes excellent, entertaining, average, mediocre, boring, bad. I feel like Pinocchio is mediocre. I feel like it is more entertaining than Snow White and what happens to the character.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a little more character development, or just character in general, in Pinocchio.
Okay.
With him and Jiminy Cricket.
Geppetto.
Yeah, Geppetto.
What's the cat's name?
Oh, I don't know the cat's name. But
I love the cat.
But I feel like Pinocchio as a movie is still a little more meandering than I would like.
Figaro?
Yes, Figaro is the cat's name. But I feel like Pinocchio is just another series of events that happen to this character, and not much gets done by the end of the movie.
There is character development, though. The problem with, like, all of these Disney movies is that they're all based on something else.
Mm.
You know? I think at least most of them are based on something else.
I'm assuming all of these are based on a book.
Book, story.
Yeah, short story, something like that, yeah. But I think Pinocchio is also meandering, though I think the events that happen to him are more entertaining than the ones that happen to Snow White, and there's more character development in Pinocchio, giving it a mediocre, and it is 10th place out of 19.
Okay. So we've got Dumbo. 1941.
Not counting credits, Dumbo is less than an hour long. I don't know if you can count it as a feature film, technically, but it's on here.
I think it's the worst for, like, political correctness and stuff, too.
Yeah, Dumbo, some of these films...
It's gotta be the most racist one.
Yeah, some of these films in the Golden, Silver, and Bronze Age are problematic with their portrayals of characters and stereotypes.
Yes.
But I don't know if the vast majority of them are blatantly racist. Dumbo is blatantly racist.
Yeah.
There's not like a poor joke or bad stereotype.
There's like a whole song.
Yeah, it is blatantly racist. And it is boring. Dumbo is a boring film. There's a scene in Dumbo with the train at the beginning that just lasts 5 minutes, and it's just a train driving, And
not to mention the pink elephants on parade.
Yeah, they drink the absinthe or whatever it is.
I think it's absinthe.
And it's a useless movie. Nothing happens in this film. It is bad. It is a bad movie. It's not just boring. It is bad. And it is 18th out of 19th.
Dumbo is such a cute character. And it's so unfortunate.
Yeah. I like the idea of doing a live-action Disney movie episode.
Mm.
And I've heard bad things about the Dumbo live-action movie.
Yeah.
There's no way it can be worse than this.
I think people remember Dumbo way more fondly than... Like, they need to rewatch it and be like, oh, this is really boring and also problematic.
Yeah. And also, I just want to point this out that I don't remember... I'll bring up when I remember watching a movie as a kid.
Yes.
So far, I don't remember seeing these movies as a kid, these three we've talked about so far. So I have no nostalgia for these. These are adult Alex looking at these as films, and Dumbo is trash. So, next movie.
Next, the last movie of the Golden Age.
Yeah.
We have Bambi from 1942.
Now, I remember liking Bambi, but when I watched it, I didn't remember much about it. You know, I remember the characters, but I don't remember what happens in the movie, other than the obvious thing with his mom.
Yes.
But Bambi, watching it now as an adult, through a critical lens, Bambi is also boring. They're cute animals, but nothing really happens. It's just a couple things happen to Bambi. There's not really much of a there's not much of a story here.
There's no character development.
Yeah.
Bambi 2, if you ever watch that, that's where the character development comes in, and it's made decades after.
Yeah.
And it's him growing up with his father after his mom dies.
Mm.
And cause you get in Bambi, you get him with his mom, and then his mom dies, and his dad is like, come with me, son. And then they go away, and then we come back, and he's an adult deer.
Yeah, so...
Basically.
I just think that it's just it's a series of unfortunate events, or events that happen to these characters in these movies, and none of them matter to the movie, you know?
Mm.
The story would be the same with or without most of these events.
Who's your favorite character in Bambi?
In Bambi?
Yes.
Thumper.
Flower's my favorite.
Yeah, but they're cute characters, but they don't matter.
Well, I think it's a fine movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I gave Bambi a boring, and it's 14th out of all these films.
Okay.
And now for some era trophies.
Don't actually drum the table.
Yeah, I was gonna drum the table, but I thought against that.
You can find a sound of a drum roll.
Now for some era trophies.
Okay. Which movie was the worst of the era? I think we all know which one you're going to say.
There's only 4 here. Dumbo is the worst of this era by a mile.
Okay. And which is the best?
Pinocchio, I think, is the best of this era by a little bit.
Dumbo. No, Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Pinocchio is the best.
How do you feel so far? We finished this era. What do you think of my opinions so far?
I think Snow White deserves a little bit more props, honestly.
Historically, though?
Historically, honestly, it can be a little boring, but it's still, a great film. It's iconic. It's iconic.
It's...
The Witch. It is
What?
a little dumb that the evil queen just kind of dies of her own volition. Falls off a cliff, and the vultures look at each other, and they're like, "Ooh."
Yeah, I mean, I could maybe see a mediocre, but I think giving it that level of historical props is not right.
I also feel like a big problem is that we watch these kind of at nighttime.
Mm.
And you get very sleepy. You'll fall asleep during action sequences.
I fell asleep during the end of Aquaman.
You fell asleep during the action sequence of Pinocchio.
I don't know if there's an action sequence in
There
Pinocchio.
is an action
No,
sequence.
things
You
happen. I
fell
don't know if I
asleep.
call it action.
Oh, whatever.
But yeah, that's the golden age. What's the next one?
Okay, next we have the Silver Age.
Mm.
So we've got Cinderella starting it off.
1950.
1950.
So surprisingly to me, Cinderella was really good. I gave
love
Cinderella an entertaining. I think the part where the mice are messing with the cat,
Yeah.
it feels very Tom and Jerry to me,
Mhm.
and I enjoy that like slapstick humor type in the movie.
Mhm.
And I don't think the love story weighs the movie down. There's not a lot of that romantic, lovey-dovey stuff that I thought was gonna weigh Cinderella down a lot. And I like the slapstick humor, and the songs are good. This is the first song I remember from any of these movies. I don't remember any of the songs from the Golden Age, but Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, good song.
Yeah. Good. I honestly think that the parts with the mice are kind of boring to me. Because it's like nothing's really happening, especially when they go through all that trouble to make the dress and then it just gets destroyed anyway. It's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but at least there's a story. You understand what's happening in Cinderella. Things aren't happening just to happen. There is a story that gets progressed in this movie.
Yes.
So it's number 5 out of 19. Entertaining.
That's good. That's good. All right. Next, Alice in Wonderland, 1951.
I wanted to like Alice in Wonderland. I really did. I liked the Johnny Depp movie, at least the first one. I like the characters, they seem wacky. I like the idea of Alice in Wonderland, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Alice in Wonderland, the movie, is so boring. I don't know if it's bad, because the visuals are impressive.
Yes.
But it is boring. I don't know what's happening, why it's happening. Alice takes so long to get somewhere. She's going to the Queen of Hearts place and just...
No, that's not what she is trying to get to.
What's she trying to do?
She's trying to follow the White Rabbit.
Yeah, she follows the White Rabbit and stuff happens. And
then she's trying to go back home.
That's not really a story, you know? That's just stuff happening. The whole movie is stuff happening to happen. And it's boring.
Yeah, there are some great live-action versions of Alice in Wonderland that I wish I could show you, but they're, like, nowhere.
Yeah.
There's one with Whoopi Goldberg as the Cheshire Cat.
Okay, interesting.
And I think Gene Wilder's in it. He plays a turtle.
Ah.
It comes up.
Is it animated?
It's not animated, no.
Gene Wilder is a turtle?
They have, like, Whoopi Goldberg is dressed in, like, as a cat.
This is getting worse, I think.
Well, like, her face is on a cat, and Gene Wilder is in a turtle suit.
Okay.
And it's really fun. But
well, I gave Alice in Wonderland a boring, and it's 17th out of these 19 films.
That's fair. Okay. Peter Pan, 1953.
Peter Pan, I like the story of Peter Pan.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is cool. The movie we watched with Robin Williams was really good.
That's Hook.
Yeah, but it's Peter Pan.
Yeah, but you have to watch Peter Pan to know.
I suppose. Yeah, but the movie Peter Pan, you have to know who all the people are to understand the movie to begin with. If you watch Peter Pan and you don't know anything about the story of Peter Pan, you don't know what's going on. I feel like you need background information before watching Peter Pan to understand the lore. Also, it is blatantly racist, Peter Pan is.
Very
Not
racist.
even like a poorly done stereotype. Peter Pan, blatantly racist movie. I gave it a mediocre because it's still a fun watch, though stuff happens to happen, like many of these movies, and the blatant racism does hurt it. And I feel like it's confusing if you don't understand who Peter Pan is.
There's this good version of Peter Pan. It's a live-action version. I love all these live
Yeah, the one with Hugh Jackman.
No. Oh, no, that's awful. And that's just called Pan.
Yeah.
Not that one. I think it's called Peter Pan. And it's got the guy who plays Lucius Malfoy. He plays the dad.
Interesting.
And he plays Hook.
Okay.
So it's interesting. It's like, you could think that Wendy's just asleep through the whole thing and she sees her father as Captain Hook sort of situation. But it's a really good, I think, rendition of it. One of my favorites, and we'll have to watch that at some time if we could ever find it. And I think it's better than the animated version.
Yeah. Well, I gave Peter Pan a mediocre, like I said, and it's 11th out of 19.
That's fair.
Okay.
Lady and the Tramp, 1955.
Lady and the Tramp was very, very good. I gave it an entertaining. Lady and the Tramp does have some problematic scenes.
Yes.
But I think they're just stereotypes that were done in poor taste. And I don't think they're blatantly racist like the scenes in Peter Pan or Dumbo are. They're just slightly problematic. And since it got released in 55, you know, it's a 75-year-old film, 65-year-old film.
I mean, you can't be like racism's ever okay, but with when it was made,
yeah,
that's just how people thought back then. It's a shame. It's not fair, but that's just how people thought back then.
I guess I'm judging this based on if I would show these films to my kid, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't show Peter Pan or Dumbo to our child for them to watch until they're old enough for me to explain to them what's going on.
Like, this is not okay, don't sing this song, or like, this is not okay, people aren't like this.
Yeah, I think Lady and the Tramp is still fine for your kid to watch without you having to give them a talk beforehand. And it's a very fun movie. It's very enjoyable.
Yes.
I gave it an entertaining. It is number 2 out of these 19 for me.
Yes. We've got Sleeping Beauty, 1959.
Sleeping Beauty was average. I gave it an average.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it's just some things happened to happen. I didn't like the ending that much. It was just average. I don't have much to say on it. It was whatever.
I like Sleeping Beauty. I love the songs in Sleeping Beauty. Some of my favorites. I will admit there is, like, the hijinks with the fairies is a little bit much at times. Especially, like, the changing from pink to blue to pink to blue. I think they just wanted to sell figurines with both dresses.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I really like the movie. I love Disney movies.
Yeah.
But
I gave it its 6th out of these 19 films for me. So, I mean, it's above average out of these 19 films.
Yes.
But I'll give it a rating of an average.
That's fair. 101 Dalmatians, 1961.
101 Dalmatians I also gave an average to, because it is a bit meandering. And I remember liking it as a kid, but I think I'm remembering the live-action movie.
The live-action movie is really good.
Because that came out when we were kids.
I remember... Is it the first one or the second one where they bake her into a cake?
I don't remember.
I'll never remember.
But I feel like there's not a lot of Cruella de Vil in this movie, honestly.
I mean, she's in the movie.
You see more of her henchmen, I think, than you see of her.
That's true.
And she's the best part of this movie.
She doesn't do anything, like, blatantly, like, evil, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit, but you never see her, like, getting her hands dirty, really.
Yeah, she's the best part of this movie, I feel. I like her character. She is a great villain. Design, at least.
The worst part of this movie is, like, the night howl or something like that.
Yeah, the night howl lasts forever.
And you're just like, okay, just get there. Just get there.
Yeah, just get this over with. Why do we need 10 minutes of this night howl? But it's a bit meandering, and I wish there was more Cruella de Vil in it. I gave it an average. It's 8th out of these 19.
I really like the part where the male dog, I can't remember his name right now, is like talking about his pet, which is the human, and he's like, I just need to find him a woman. I do feel like it's a little bit, when he's describing the women and stuff, it's a little upsetting to me.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It's like, oh, well, why couldn't he go with the slightly pudgier woman? Seems fine to me. I mean, like, the dog being, like, really short, it wouldn't work with the Dalmatian, but still, unfortunate.
Next up.
Next we have The Sword and the Stone from 1963.
What can I say about The Sword and the Stone? Disney's most ambitious, impressive... But this is the worst movie out of all 19 of these. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. It's bad. It's bad, 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 bad.
I have?
19th out of 19th, bad.
I remember the beginning fondly as a child. But then it just, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know why things are happening the way they are. And then you think, well, he's gonna become King Arthur at some point. And he kind of does at the end, and then the movie ends.
Yeah, the movie that should have happened is the movie that happens after this movie. There might be a Sword in the Stone 2, and it's probably trash.
I don't think there is.
But the interesting movie is the one that happens after this movie ends. This movie is awful. Awful.
We also watched Quest for Camelot recently, which is not a Disney movie.
No.
Would you say it gave you a little bit more of what you were looking for a King Arthur thing?
Quest for Camelot's better than this movie.
Well, yeah.
The thing,
most things
I didn't
are
like
better
Quest
than
for
this
Camelot that much.
How dare you.
I think Quest for Camelot's like a mediocre though. I wouldn't say boring or bad. The thing I liked about Quest for Camelot the most is that they had this vision about these like robotic people, right?
Yeah.
And they went for it, and I can appreciate that idea. I don't know if they do the story that much justice, but mediocre, maybe even average thinking back on it. I don't think it was entertaining. I think it's meandering a bit, like a lot of these older films are.
Mm-hmm.
But it is better than Sword in the Stone. Sword in the Stone is one of the worst films I've ever seen. It's horrible.
Well, clearly you've never seen Pirate Kids. Next we have Jungle Book, 1967.
Jungle Book was upsetting for me. Because I like Baloo, and I liked the live action movie that came out.
Yes.
I saw it probably around the time it came out. It's been a little while. But I can tell you I liked it more than this movie. The animated Jungle Book movie is not great. It's boring. Nothing happens. I liked Bare Necessities. That is a great song.
Yes. Goes on for way too long.
I hated it by the end of the movie. They played Bare Necessities like they were Billy Ray Cyrus in the 80s when Achy Breaky Heart just came out. They play it as the opener, they play a melody in the middle, and they close the show with Bare Necessities. They play Bare Necessities way too much.
Yeah.
It's a great song. I loved it. It sucks that they played it so much that I hate it now.
Well, here's another thing. I just hate Mowgli.
Yeah, Mowgli learns nothing this whole movie.
He doesn't learn anything.
If he would develop some as a character, this movie wouldn't have as much conflict as it does.
Yes. It's just like I'm not scared of you, clearly scared of him, and then goes after Shere Khan again.
Yeah.
It's just I don't understand.
Yes, meandering. There's no character development. They ruined the good parts I remembered from the movie by doing them way too many times.
Also, I took a British literature class in college, and we read the actual Jungle Book that I think it's Kipling wrote.
I don't know.
I think it's Kipling. My British literature professor hates the Jungle Book animated movie. Hates it. And after reading the book, I can see why. It is nothing like the book. Even the live action ones that they've done, they're not equal to the book. The book is great. Kind of racist. It's a product of its time. But, like, comparatively, the movies just kind of flop.
Yeah.
If you really like the book.
So, the best of this era is Lady and the Tramp by a significant margin. Next up would be Cinderella, but I think Lady and the Tramp is much better than Cinderella.
Mm-hmm.
Worst of this era is Sword in the Stone. By a lot.
Yes.
By a lot.
Yes.
Anything you have to say on this Silver Age that you didn't agree with me with?
I don't know. I think this seems fine.
Seems fine? Okay, so let's get on into the Bronze Age.
Bronze Age. What people say is Disney's worst age. Some say.
I'm gonna throw that out there. The Bronze Age is the best of these three ages.
Some people really... So, like... It's just that these movies didn't do as well.
Yeah. I think the Bronze Age is noticeable because the animation seems like they didn't take as much time to do it, because you can see the pencil lines when they're doing the animation.
Yes.
And I don't appreciate that, but we'll talk about when we get into these movies. So the first film of the Bronze Age.
First film of the Bronze Age. Aristocats. One of my favorites.
I liked Aristocats a lot. It does have a lot of sloppy animation. Where you see the
and some meandering.
Yeah, there's a little bit of meandering. There's some sloppy animation. There are some stereotype cats.
We almost made it through.
Yeah.
Without some stereotypes.
There is a 5-second scene where this cat, who's supposed to be Chinese, does some racist interpretations of a Chinese person.
Yes.
And they could have cut that out of the movie entirely and made it fine. So there's not much there, especially when you look at, like, Peter Pan or Dumbo. Aristocats is Lady and the Tramp, but with cats. Pretty much.
Kind of.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I think it's a little worse than Lady and the Tramp, but I think Aristocats is still entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the third best of these 19 movies.
That's fair. Okay. Robin Hood, 1973.
This is the movie I look forward to the most out of all these movies from Gold, Silver, Bronze Age. Because I remember loving it as a child. And Robin Hood is a boring movie. It is so meandering. Nothing happens in this film for long stretches of time. The songs are the best part of this movie.
Yes.
By a mile.
Yes.
But nothing happens in this movie for long stretches of time. And when stuff does happen, I'm bored to sleep by the last 30 minutes I watched. So I can barely care about these action scenes. Robin Hood is boring. It is the 13th best movie out of these 19.
It's a very slow movie. I remember it fondly, but it does definitely take some hits rewatching it when you're not a child. But I feel like that's just Robin Hood in general.
I have a question. Have you seen the Kevin Costner Robin Hood movies?
Maybe.
Well, it's Prince of Thieves is the name of it. Maybe? Because I haven't seen
I've watched a lot of Robin Hood.
I've never seen a good Robin Hood movie. The Russell Crowe one is bad.
I watched that recently.
The one they just released with Jamie Foxx is bad.
I don't think I've seen it.
And this movie, bad. Why can't they make a good Robin Hood movie?
Have you watched Princess of Thieves?
No, I haven't. Is that good?
With Keira Knightley.
Is it good?
I think it's good.
You think it's good?
She's like the daughter of Robin Hood and Maid Marian.
Well, I mean, as long as it's interesting. I haven't seen a good Robin Hood movie yet, so
we'll have to watch it.
Yeah.
It's a Disney movie, but it's not on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Hurts me.
There's a video game coming out, I think 2021, called Hood or something like that. It's called The Hood or something.
Yeah.
Where it's an RPG where you play Robin Hood, and I'm interested to see if that's a good game or not, because I'd be interested to play as Robin Hood. It might be able to live out my Green Arrow fantasies.
Oh, yes.
So, what's next on this?
Next we have The Rescuers from 1977.
I feel like The Rescuers is an average film.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of meandering.
Yes.
I think the biggest part of the movie that hurts it for me is that I hate the villains. That woman and that dude.
Medusa?
I don't like the design.
And what's the guy's name?
I think it's S.
It does start with an S.
Spud? Sykes? No, Sykes is from Olive and Company.
Yeah.
Whatever his name is. I don't like the designs. I don't like their characters. There's some meandering. But it was average. I'm putting it 7th out of these 19.
Rescuers 2, Rescuers Down Under. That one's fairly good. I enjoyed that one a bit.
If the villains are better, I mean, it might earn entertaining for me.
I just love the two mouse characters. I can't remember their
Bianca
name.
and Bernard.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. I love their little love story. It's great.
So next up, the movie I was dreading to watch the most.
Yes. Fox and the Hound, 1981.
And I was only dreading to watch it because I remember it being very sad, and
Yes.
I don't like sad movies. It's not as sad as I remember it being.
It's still a little sad, but not as sad rewatching it. I feel like Bambi, if you're connected to it more, is more sad. The beginning is like, oh, no.
Yeah. But that gets over pretty quickly. And you get introduced to the owl, the woodpecker, and the...
Big Mama.
Yeah, Big Mama. I don't remember the birds' names, though. The woodpecker and the other guy, the short guy.
I don't remember their names, but Big Mama's the owl.
Yeah, you get introduced to them, and the woodpecker and the other bird are hunting the caterpillar, Squeaks.
I think his name is Squeaks.
They're hunting him, and that just, like, alleviates that sadness from his mom dying.
Yes.
I remember being more sad... Todd and Copper at the end when they're kind of hating each other. I remember being more sad about that, but that didn't really affect me that much this time around. Though I don't know what the movie's saying, because I think the movie is trying to say that you could be friends with someone who is not from your walk of life.
Yeah.
But Copper and Todd drift apart, and at the end of the movie, they're not friends with each other. So I feel like that clashes with what I feel the movie is saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I really love Vixie.
Yeah, the female fox.
The female fox.
I have to say, the worst part of this movie, I think, is the songs. The songs are not there.
They're not really songs.
Yeah,
part of the time.
Yeah, it's not Big Mama. It's the widow, who I don't know if she has a name. They just call her Widow. Like, that guy calls her Widow.
I feel
which seems like a mean thing to call someone.
I think he calls her name at one point, but he comes over to her house and is like, Widow, you listen here. And it's like, excuse me.
The song she sings is just her talking.
Yeah.
Also, I said I would...
I cried a little bit when she let Todd go.
Yeah, into the forest.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I felt like by then, I'm like, Todd, this is your fault, dude. You're like... You're causing trouble, and you're better off here. So, I felt that way. I know it was sad for her, but I didn't care about her. I care about Todd. You know?
Well, he really wasn't causing trouble towards the end there. Like, he caused trouble at the beginning a little bit, but that, like, on his own farm. He wasn't going after the chickens. He was just trying to talk to Copper.
Yeah.
He wasn't causing issues.
Yeah, I understand that. I feel like I gave this movie an excellent. It is a well-crafted movie.
Yes.
I really liked it. I felt like this is the only one on this list that is an excellent, that falls in the rule that sometimes entertaining movies are better than excellent movies. Excellent movies can be like the Oscar winners that you're like, that's a well-crafted movie, but it's not the Thor Ragnarok that I would watch like once a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like it as much as some of the other movies. It's the fourth place movie on this list for me.
Yes.
But it is the best crafted movie out of these 19.
That's fair.
So...
All right. Black Cauldron, 1985.
Black Cauldron is interesting because I want to get the book series it is based off of now.
Yes. But not because the movie's good.
Not because the movie's good, but because the first half of the movie, maybe exactly the first 45 minutes of this movie, I was like, yeah, dude, yeah, Black Cauldron, let's go to this movie, man. I liked the pig. I liked the bad guys menacing, you know? I like what's happening. And then the back half, the last 45 minutes, I'm like, oh, Black Cauldron, no. No. How'd you lose your footing so much?
It's like the witches, and like...
Yeah.
One of them's really big boob and wants to date that musician dude.
Yeah, it's just... It becomes meandering when at first it was an interesting world with characters and feelings that I thought were interesting. The back half is like, why is this movie still going? Well, it's over, man. It's been over for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
The author's like, I mean, it gets people to talk about my movie, my books, I guess. Read the books.
Yeah,
though.
I think we should buy the box set. They're like, I don't know if young adult's the right word. They're chapter books, but they're for like younger kids, like elementary school kids, I guess.
Maybe.
Check those out if you're interested in Black Cauldron, because I feel like the world is interesting. I don't know if the books are good, but if they flesh out the world more, I'd be into those.
Mm-hmm.
So Black Cauldron gets a mediocre because the first half is probably entertaining, back half is boring, average them together, mediocre. It's the 12th film on this list for me.
Okay. Next we have The Great Mouse Detective, 1986.
Great Mouse Detective is... I think the worst part for Great Mouse Detective is that it's based on Sherlock Holmes. That's the worst part for the movie. Because when it lets you down harder. Because it has something that's so easy. Just like Sword in the Stone. It's like King Arthur just, you can nail it. It's there, you know?
Yeah.
The blueprint's there. Great Mouse Detective, while it's a better movie than Sword in the Stone by a mile, the groundwork is there. It just has to be a Sherlock Holmes movie adapted with cute characters. The mouse, you know,
and a lot less opium.
Yeah, I feel like it's boring. It's meandering in parts. The worst part of the movie for me is Ratigan, because he is overacted. I don't understand how you can have an overacted animated character.
I think he's supposed to be overacted.
Well, I think he has to be, because I don't understand how you can... Like, if an actor in a live-action movie is an overactor, there's not much you can do if every take you have of this guy is him being bad, right? Mm-hmm. You have to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Animated, I feel like the animated character goes through so many people's hands who have to be like, yeah, that's good. Keep going, you know? There's more of a process there. And that must have been their intention for him to act this way. And I'm put off by him. I'm like, he's an overactor.
Well, I feel like over half the movie, you were like, isn't that the same guy from American Tail?
I was, and I wish he was, because that guy's an interesting villain.
But, like, literal, I'm not joking, guys. Like, the whole movie, he was like, that's the same guy. The name's the same. No, he looks exactly the same.
I didn't think it was the same character. I thought they had the same names and looked like each other.
They don't look anything like each other, and it's not the same name at all. Ratigan is from The Great Mouse Detective. William T. Rat is from American Tail.
What I'm saying is watch American Tail. I gave Great Mouse Detective a mediocre. I was bored out of my mind.
Also, I didn't realize there are like 4 American Tail movies. I only knew there were 2. So I'm going to have to watch those. But yeah, Great Mouse Detective, I don't remember watching it beforehand. It was okay.
I gave it a mediocre. It's 9th on my list. Now, the last film out of Gold, Silver, and Bronze Age for this episode is...
Oliver and Company, 1988.
This is the movie I remember watching the most out of all of these, and I didn't know I had seen it before. As soon as it started and that dog steals the hot dogs at the beginning, I'm like, wait a second, I've seen this movie tons of times.
Yeah, I don't know why we waited so long to watch it. You were like, oh, I don't want to watch that, some weird cat movie, I don't know.
Here's the thing, though. I remember tons of scenes from Oliver and Company, right? I don't remember this cat being in this movie. I remember the cool dog that's played by Billy Joel, who I thought sang the theme song at the beginning, but the theme song sung by Huey Lewis in the News. But Billy Joel voices the dog, the main dog, and I remember him, and I remember the bad guy and the good guy.
Yes.
And that's what I remember. And the poodle, I remember her.
Yes.
So I remember a lot of elements from this movie. I just don't remember seeing it until I saw it again. I was like, oh, I've seen this tons of times. So perhaps my nostalgia played a factor in for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought this was the most entertaining film.
Yes.
It had some great songs.
Yes. Great characters.
Yeah, great characters. A lot of good development. And I think this is an excellent movie. Maybe without nostalgia is entertaining. But either way, I'd put this as number 1 out of these 19 films.
Yeah. It's such a good movie. I love Oliver and Company. I haven't watched it in years, and rewatching it, I'm like, yeah, this is so good.
Yeah.
Remembering all this stuff, I'm like, oh, this is about to happen. And you're like, yeah. It was great.
Yeah. So, worst of this era is sadly Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Despite me wanting to love it. Best of this era is Oliver and Company. And Oliver and Company is a more fun movie to watch.
Yes.
I would watch it again. But I think Fox and the Hound's a better made movie. Though Fox and the Hound, the songs are not fun to listen to.
Fox and the Hound, though, it can be a little scary. If you're like a kid, when Todd starts like growling and his face changes and his eyes get tiny and you're like, that's terrifying.
But I think the subject matter is heavier, which will make me not want to rewatch it as often. So I think Fox and the Hound is the best made movie out of these 19. But I think Oliver and Company is the best of this era and the best from gold through bronze.
Yes.
Oliver and Company. So for the Bronze Age, is there anything you want to take me to task on, or do you think I'm about how you feel as well?
I honestly think Fox and the Hound should go up higher, but...
Well, I have Oliver and Company, Lady and the Tramp, Aristocats, Fox and the Hound. Where would you put Fox and the Hound out of those four?
I'd put it above Aristocats.
I could see that.
I like Aristocats, but I would put it above Aristocats. Anyway, we're going to go through your list that you have them rated from first to last. Number 1, Oliver and Company. Number 2,
Lady and the Tramp.
Lady and the Tramp. Number 3, Aristocats. Number 4, Fox and the Hound. Number 5, Cinderella. Number 6, Sleeping Beauty. Number 7, Rescuers. Number 8, 101 Dalmatians. Number 9, The Great Mouse Detective. Number 10, Pinocchio. Number 11, Peter Pan. Number 12, The Black Cauldron. Number 13, Robin Hood. Number 14, Bambi. Number 15, The Jungle Book. Number 16, Snow White. Number 17, Alice in Wonderland. Number 18, Dumbo. And number 19, The Sword in the Stone.
Nerds at Odds is made possible by our supporters over on patreon.com/nerdsatodds. If you want to become a member of our community and gain access to the show 4 days early, gain the ability to submit your questions, comments, and concerns, and so much more, consider supporting us over there. Thank you. So, before you guys yell at us in the comments, be sure to rewatch all of these films if you haven't seen them like within the past 6 months or so, just to give yourself a refresher, and try to take your nostalgia out of it, because
he had no nostalgia.
Just from a movie standpoint, a lot of these are boring.
I mean, you know, people have their own opinions. Listen, if you want to tell us why we're wrong, sure, go ahead. But don't be mean. I know it's the internet. You're anonymous, essentially. Don't be mean. It's our opinions. Everyone has opinions, and they all stink.
So I have a question for you going forward. With next week's episode in mind, do you think Oliver and Company is going to be number 1 after that? And do you think Sword in the Stone is going to be 19? Or last after next week's episode, if we compile the list together?
Well, we've already watched Home on the Range.
We've watched about half the movies we have to watch for next week, I think.
Yes, but we've already watched Home on the Range, which I think is one of the worst from the next part.
Yeah, Renaissance forward, yeah.
And what do you think that was worse than Sword in the Stone? Probably not.
I think Home on the Range is somewhere in the middle of all these.
Yeah, so I think I can't see any movie being worse than our worst one. There could be ones that you like a lot more. You've never seen Big Hero 6. That's on the list. It's possible.
I think that Sword in the Stone is going to be the worst movie still after next week.
Yes.
And I feel like Oliver and Company might squeeze in the top 10.
Might be. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I'm going to let you... Listen, his rating scale is all his. I have my own opinions, but I don't like rating things. So, it's all going to be... You can yell at him. So, that's fine. That's fine with me.
And Akita's Corner, whose favorite movie was Aristocats by a mile.
Kita loved Aristocats, cat representation. She also liked Oliver and Company, but she didn't like that part where Oliver barked like a dog.
Yeah.
She thought it was demeaning.
Yeah. Traitor.
Yeah. To the cats. Kita would like to remind everybody to spay and neuter your pets and to adopt from a shelter whenever possible. And I know Christmas is coming up. Don't buy a pet just to get tired of it, leave it out in the cold. If you're gonna have a dog, a cat, puppy, rabbit, whatever you may want, don't just get it and then build a chain link fence for it to sleep in the freezing cold.
Yeah, so keep in mind, if you have the means and the time to take care of an animal before you adopt it. So let's get on into our interesting facts. You wanted to say a word about Snow White, so let's get on into that real quick.
Yes. So Snow White, if you didn't know, the credits are in the opening part. It's got opening credits. Lots of older movies do. A fair amount of these have opening credits. The actress who does the voice acting for Snow White and all of the voice actors in the whole movie, none of them are credited in the English version of the movie. They're in the, like, foreign versions of the movie where, like, people are dubbing over it. Those have actual, like, at the end of all of it, there'll be, like, a black screen come up on Disney Plus, and it shows you, like, who did the voices for those. But all of the people that did the original voice work for Snow White are not credited at all. And the woman who played Snow White and the man who played the prince were not allowed. Were not invited to the opening, the first theatrical release of Snow White. They had to sneak in, and Walt Disney wanted to make sure that Snow White's voice wasn't used for anything else, so he essentially blacklisted her. And she wasn't really able to work again, and she didn't really get a lot of money from Snow White. Very unfortunate.
So speaking of dubbing things in other countries,
yes,
much like I'll Make a Man Out of You from Mulan, in China, Jackie Chan plays the Beast in Beauty and the Beast.
Unfortunate that Beast doesn't sing in that movie until you get to the live action version.
Yeah, but it's insane to see how Jackie Chan is viewed over in China as a much more versatile actor.
Well, the problem with being in America, being an actor, you get typecast.
Yeah.
You know, like, who's the character? Who's the guy who plays Scott Pilgrim?
Michael Cera.
Yeah, he always plays like a nerdy guy. And Jackie Chan always has to play the martial arts dude.
Yeah.
And, like, he's got some great movies here in America. I would love to see some of the Chinese movies that he's acted in over there, maybe with some subtitles. You know, I can't speak Mandarin. It's very unfair, in my opinion, that actors get typecast. You can see why sometimes with, like, oh, he's a nerdy guy. He looks like a nerdy guy.
Yeah. Well, when you look like Michael Cera, what are you supposed to do?
I don't know. But, like, Jackie Chan, the only thing that's defining him to be the martial arts guy is, one, he knows martial arts, and two, his race.
Yeah. So, hopefully Jackie Chan can come back to the States. I like Jackie Chan. I think he's a funny dude also. So...
honestly, they need to give him more serious roles. He can do more... He's just, like, the funny martial arts guy here in America.
Our next fact is every scene in Pocahontas was rewritten at least 35 times.
It's probably because the guy who wrote all the journals about meeting Pocahontas for the first time was John Smith. And he really liked to bolster himself up. And also, like, Pocahontas was, like, 13, 14 when she met John Smith, and John Smith was, like, 30s, 40s. So there really shouldn't be a love story there. And in the second Pocahontas movie, they rewrite it, and John Rolfe comes, and they go off.
Yeah, despite the historical inaccuracies of the movie, I think a lot of these rewrites probably had to do with Disney wanting to not come off as racist.
That probably as well, because the last one that had Native Americans in it was probably Peter Pan.
I think that's right, and that was not a good representation.
No,
so.
And I think they wanted to, like, distance themselves from that.
Yeah.
Especially since Pocahontas is the main character.
Yeah. I'm interested to see in the future, maybe when we're, like, 40 or 50, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these movies that we grew up with are truly, like, old movies.
Yes.
If there's going to be disclaimers before them for certain things that weren't seen as problematic. I have to say, I kind of like Disney's new feature on Disney Plus. Instead of saying the disclaimer in the,
like the
description, there's like a 10-15 second screen that pops up when you play a movie that says it, so you have to look
like,
at it.
It's like, hey, this stuff is not cool anymore.
Yeah.
We don't believe this stuff anymore, and we feel bad about what happened in the past.
I think it's the right thing to do to keep the problematic scenes in, though.
From it's better. You don't want to just like wipe all that stuff away, because it's still, cinematography.
Yeah, I think it's important historically to be able to look back at these movies and see what they were like back then. And I guess like if Disney like erased that 5-second scene in Aristocats that's problematic, they're kind of hiding their past, which would be a bad thing to do. So I think this disclaimer is the right thing to do to go about it.
So technically Disney did do... So you've heard about the Aladdin thing, right?
What Aladdin thing?
So, you know the opening song in Aladdin?
Yeah.
The original version of that song had somewhat or very racist lines in it. I don't remember what those lines were, but they were racist. And so they had released the movie, then they recalled the movie, changed it, and then put it back out.
Yeah.
And so there are people that actually have that version of the VHS tape.
That's rough. It's like, hey man, you got the racist cut of Aladdin? Yeah, man, I got the racist cut of Aladdin. You wanna watch?
It's an interesting time that we live in.
Yeah. It's like the cut of Cats where their feet don't touch the ground. It's like, who released this movie?
Some theater has that.
Yeah, who released it?
And so they decided to fix that by putting shoes on the cats.
Yeah, it's like, oh god, man, why? So, I don't think we saw it with the foot version.
We did not see the foot version.
I'm glad movies can get patches now like video games. Yeah. Anything else you want to say before we head on out of here? Just want to give a heads up that our Thanksgiving episode is live as the time of the season nears in the United States for Thanksgiving. Be sure to check that out.
And our Next Gen Console episode is live, where we have our special guest, Jamie, who's one of our good friends and patron. Who
wrote the theme song that you're going to hear in this episode and all episodes going forward. Yes. You can check him out at the Twitter hashtag I'm going to link in the description of this show and the description of the Next Gen console review episode. You can check his stuff out. Mm-hmm. And next week is going to be part 2 of our Disney animated film review. Then the week after that is going to be something that we haven't thought about.
Sure.
And then the 2 weeks after that is our Christmas 2-parter.
The 2 weeks after that, not 2 weeks after that.
Yeah, the 2 weeks after that is going to be our Christmas 2-parter. Which, unlike this episode where we're going to record a second part, the Christmas episode we're going to record in one sitting. And then we'll release it as 2 parts. So we have like a Christmas break.
Yeah.
So... be sure to check those out. I feel like it's going to be a long episode anyway, since we're going to cover 25 Christmas films and Christmas traditions and songs and stuff. So don't worry about it being short.
And after Thanksgiving, I will be posting pictures on Instagram of all of our holiday decorations.
Yes, our Christmas village is going up next weekend.
Yes. So, well... Probably, I'm like the day after Thanksgiving, I am going to start decorating. So it's going to be the Christmas village, the Christmas tree, the stockings, the Christmas lights.
Yeah.
I'm going to have so much fun.
Yeah. And we can start wrapping presents, whatever we've bought so far. We have to find Keto a present.
Yes.
I don't know how we're going to wrap a kitten, but we'll...
Wrap a kitten.
Also, just reminder, if you have questions, comments, or concerns, especially about our opinions on these Disney films, you can leave those over at patreon.com/nerdsatodds if you join our community.
There's also the Twitter, you can tweet at us.
Instagram, leave it in the YouTube comments. If you're interested in the Twitch channel, I post our schedule of what we're streaming. I post it every Tuesday afternoon, so you know what we're streaming for the next week. So you can check that out. I'm going to rope Courtney in on something, I swear. She will stream a game before the week is out.
Work's been hard, so we'll see how that goes.
Maybe over the Thanksgiving break, we'll do a Black Friday stream.
A Black Friday stream.
Yeah.
We just go shopping and bring the camera with us.
No, I thought we'd like argue about Tickle Me Elmos and stream a video game.
That sounds dumb.
Sounds dumb.
That sounds dumb.
So anyway, guys, we'll see you next week for part 2, Renaissance to present day.
Yes. We'll see how that goes.
We'll see how that goes.
We got a lot of movies to watch.
Yeah.
Stop it, you're being weird. Okay, bye guys.
Nerds at Odds is made possible by our supporters over on patreon.com/nerdsatodds. If you want to become a member of our community and gain access to the show 4 days early, gain the ability to submit your questions, comments, and concerns, and so much more, consider supporting us over there. Thank you, and have a great day.